In football, nicknames are more than just words. They are symbols of a player's identity. Some players are called the magician, the maestro, or the king, but Carles Puyol, he was the caveman, the gladiator, the wall, and the lion heart. These weren't just random labels. Each one captured the essence of a warrior who would rather put his face in front of a bullet speed shot than let his team concede a goal. Puyol wasn't the tallest, the strongest, or the fastest defender. He didn't have the elegance of Maldini or the technical skills of Beckenbauer. But what he did have was something rare, something modern football is desperately lacking. He had heart. And that's exactly why finding the next Carles Puyol has become nearly impossible. Players today are more technical, faster, and smarter than ever. Yet the one thing coaches and scouts struggle to find is the warrior spirit that made Puyol one of a kind. So why is that? Why is football struggling to find another leader like him? And will we ever see another Puyol again? Let's find out. To understand why finding another Puyol is so difficult, we first need to understand what made him special. Most elite footballers start their careers at top academies, getting pampered with the best coaches, diets, and training methods. They are treated as future stars from the age of 10, but Puyol, he wasn't even on Barcelona's radar until he was 17. Up until that point, he was just a kid playing for a small third division club, constantly switching positions because no one knew where he fit best. He played as a goalkeeper, a winger, a right back, and even a striker. Yet, despite being one of the best players at his club, Barcelona's scout walked out on his match before halftime, unimpressed. Most kids would have taken that as a sign to give up on their dream. Not Puyol. When Thorogorthor offered him a trial, he refused because, for him, it was Barcelona or nothing. His loyalty was unmatched, even from a young age. He was willing to fail school just to stay behind with his best friend. That was the kind of person he was. Then, when Barcelona finally gave him a one-day trial, his father gave him an ultimatum. If they send you home because someone is more talented, that's fine. But if they send you home because someone worked harder than you, you're no longer welcome in this house. That was all Puyol needed to hear. He went to that trial and worked so hard that the coaches couldn't ignore him. They kept calling him back every day for a month, and eventually, they caved. Puyol was officially a La Masia player. And yet, even after breaking into Barcelona's youth setup, his struggles were far from over. Barcelona's identity was built on technical brilliance. Players like Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi were the gold standard, intelligent, elegant, and precise. Puyol, he was the opposite. He was rugged, aggressive, and relentless. He didn't fit the Barcelona mold. He was never meant to be the face of Barcelona. He wasn't the most gifted La Masia graduate. He wasn't even a natural centre-back. He had to force his way into the position. But once he got his chance, he never let go. By the time Puyol cemented himself in the team, Barcelona was in crisis. They had lost Luis Figo to Real Madrid, and the club was in one of its worst trophy droughts. The fans wanted blood, and when Barcelona met Madrid again, all eyes were on Figo. So who did Barcelona turn to for protection? Puyol. For 90 minutes, he hunted Figo across the pitch, never giving him an inch of space. The world watched as a young, unproven defender neutralized one of the best wingers in history. That night, he wasn't just another player, he was Barcelona's new warrior. From then on, there was no questioning Puyol's place in the team. He became the ultimate leader by example, never asking his teammates to do something he wouldn't do himself. Whether it was blocking shots with his face or pulling his own teammates away from fights, he was the heartbeat of Barcelona. So if Puyol's leadership and mentality were so valuable, why haven't we seen another player like him? The answer is simple. Football has changed. 1. The modern game prioritizes technique over mentality. In today's game, Defenders are expected to be just as skilled with the ball as midfielders. Players like Puyol, who prioritized heart and grit over flair, don't fit the modern tactical system. Clubs want defenders who can play out from the back, not just those who can stop attacks. 2. Fewer players are raised in hardship. Puyol didn't come from privilege. He wasn't told he was special from a young age. He had to fight for everything. Today's young players grow up in a more controlled environment. They are given elite training and protection from failure. The struggle that built Puyol's mentality simply doesn't exist in the same way anymore. 3. The role of the captain has changed. In Puyol's era, the captain was the voice of the team. He was responsible for maintaining discipline and setting the standard. Today, captains are more symbolic than anything else. The game is faster, more tactical, and less dependent on individuals leading through sheer willpower. 4. Football has become a business first. Players today think about brand deals, image, and sponsorships. Diving, play acting, and social media presence are bigger than ever. Someone like Puyol, who didn't care about fame or fortune, feels like an outdated relic in modern football. Will we ever see another Puyol? The truth is, there will never be another Puyol. Not because defenders today aren't talented, but because the world that created him no longer exists. The game has evolved in a way that doesn't reward players like him anymore. That's not to say there aren't warriors left in football. Players like Diego Godin, Giorgio Chiellini, and Virgil van Dijk have embodied leadership and defensive mastery in their own ways. But Puyol was different. He wasn't just a great defender. He was a symbol of loyalty, sacrifice, and heart. So, while we may never see another Puyol, what we can do is remember him. Remember what he stood for. Remember the times he put his body on the line. Remember the player who taught us that sometimes hard work and passion are more than talent. Because legends like Puyol aren't just remembered, they are immortal. That is why Carles Puyol was one of a kind. And that is why we may never see another like him again.